Yo, what's going on, YouTube, and welcome back to Goal Line Hockey. It's your boy Kevin Forte, and guys, today we're taking a look at your Dallas Stars. And now we're getting into the season for the Stars, but this is a team that, if you need a little bit of context, 2020 bubble, the Dallas Stars, they barely make it into the playoff. Actually, no, I believe they were one of the better teams, top four in the Western Conference. And they were going to have home ice advantage in the playoffs. Missed the wild card. They didn't have to worry about that. And they end up going on a run in 2020 in the bubble. They went past a couple of pretty good teams, and they find themselves in the Stanley Cup final against the Tampa Bay Lightning. Now, ultimately, what did they lose? In 5 or 6 games to Tampa in 2020, but they got to the Stanley Cup final. And a large portion of that was without their what was projected to be their starting goaltender in Ben Bishop. Now, obviously, at the end of the season, the questions were, well, could Dallas go back to the final? Because now you're looking at, Anton Khudobin, who is definitely on the older side. Again, he was a late bloomer, so he's only been good for a little while, but he is older. And, with key injuries to start the season in 2021 here, this was the 2021 season. Let's just be honest with it. There was no 2020 hockey in this season. It was all 2021. But besides that fact, Tyler Seguin was out for a lot of last season. And obviously Ben Bishop, a big piece of their goaltending, was out as well. So 2021 did not go well for the Stars. They missed the Stanley Cup playoffs. They didn't really do well this year. And now you're looking at this season, 2021-2022. This is a defining year for Dallas because it's going to tell you a little bit more of the tale of the Dallas Stars. Are they the team that they were in the 2020 bubble, or are they more the team we saw here in 2021? A team that's just, the core is getting older. Guys like Pavelski and Ben and even Bishop to that extent, and even Anton Khudobin. Or is this team, like we said, it was magic in a bottle, or are they legit? And we're going to find that out this year. Tyler Seguin will be in the lineup. Jamie Benn will be in the lineup. All those guys are going to be in the lineup other than Ben Bishop. But they do have some good goaltenders like Jake Ottinger. Well, Jake Ottinger will probably be in Texas with the Texas Stars in the AHL because you've got Braden Holtby and Anton Khudobin, who, again, Khudobin had a bad season last year, but so did Braden Holtby. So you're kind of hoping one of those two catches some kind of lightning in a bottle this year. I've used that reference already twice now. But with that said, this deadline could be interesting for the Stars. Do they go for one final cup run here, or do they start to transition? Maybe say that R word that's kind of not a word you want to be saying, but that rebuild, is it going to start for Dallas this year? And according to Matt DeFranks, Pavelski, Rajalov, and Klingberg could be trade bait if the Stars are out of the playoffs by the deadline. Now, that's interesting because these are core guys to the team, and all of them have 1 year left on their contract. So is it kind of Dallas saying, well, maybe we're turning the page and we're going to get younger next year? And that could be part of this situation here. And I think because of what they did with Miro Heiskanen, giving him that 8.25 contract, which actually looks like a great contract now because you've seen what Seth Jones got and what's the Oilers defenseman, Darnell Nurse. You look at what those guys got. Miro Heiskanen probably could have got closer to $9 million, but Dallas Stars fans won't complain for the next 8 years. But with that said, there's only so much cap space, especially in a flat cap world. Some of these guys, if not all of them, could be gone. So looking at the team, and obviously the John Klingberg situation, he also mentioned John Klingberg could prove to be too expensive for the Stars to keep around next offseason. I like to say John Klingberg could prove to be, too rich of a chocolate for the Dallas Stars to keep around. And that may be the situation. John Klingberg, I know him and Jim Nill had been talking a lot this offseason, about an extension. And there was actually talk that maybe they would be involved in the Seth Jones sweepstakes, bringing him back to his home state there, the Lone Star State in Texas. He ends up going to Chicago. But those preliminary talks had been there, and I wonder if that kind of soured it for John Klingberg a little bit. Like, hey, you were just trying to trade me, and now you want to re-sign me because they went with, Adam Boqvist to Columbus instead, right? So I don't know how much of that is really there, but again, that is partially on the table, and we'll get to John Klingberg in a second. So Joe Pavelski, 37 years old. 37 years old, and he's still kicking around the NHL. He's a top 6 center in Dallas right now, which some people would say that's a good thing. Others would say that's slightly concerning. He's making $7 million. He will be a unrestricted free agent next summer at the ripe old age of 38 years old. But last season, really in his whole career with Dallas, his first season didn't go that great. 31 points in 67 games, but last season he was almost a point-per-game player in Dallas, 51 points in 56 games. Now, I think he had more minutes, especially with Tyler Seguin out. He played a lot more, but he was able to put together points. And again, 37 years old, he's still plugging along pretty good. But again, a $7 million cap hit. Alexander Rajalov, he's had some injury issues recently in Dallas. But even you look at his career, since coming back to the NHL, he did well that first season in Montreal, 54 points, but he's never gotten back to that form. He really did get back to that form. The following 2 seasons, his first 2 seasons in Dallas, 72 points in those consecutive seasons, and then he had 34 points in 60 games in the bubble in 2020. And this season, he actually did well, but he only played in 11 games out of a possible 56. He was still he got 12 points in 11 games. So bring him back healthy. Rajalov is a good player, right? But he is also, his contract does end next summer, and he's getting paid $6.25 million. And he's 35 years old. So again, you have a 37-year-old Pavelski and a 35-year-old Rajalov. We're definitely going to see a changing of the guard in that forward core in Dallas. But it doesn't stop there, because you look at John Klingberg, who's maybe a little bit on the older side, but still a very good defenseman. He's nowhere near as old as those other guys. He's in the prime of his NHL career, 29 years old. And he is another guy from Sweden, a Swedish defenseman. He's had his moments. The last full regular season back in 2017-2018. Actually, no, that wasn't the last full season. It was the season after. But that was the last full 82-game schedule he's played. The only 82-game schedule he's played in his time in Dallas. He picked up 67 points, which was a career high. He followed that up with 45 points. And then since then, again, in less games, 32 points in 58 games in their Western Conference Championship run last year. And he also picked up 36 points in 53 games this year, which, again, for a defenseman, not bad. Now, he's making $4.25 million this year, annual average value. That will definitely skyrocket next summer. And he's one of those guys that, again, with the market at set around between $8 and $9 million per year, if Dallas is asking him, hey, what if you take a little pay cut? What about 7.5, 7.75? He's going to say, no, screw that. I want 9.5. That's probably where he's going to get on the open market if he wants to go that route. So for Dallas, obviously the move would be, well, trade him, right? But I think Jim Nill is in that spot where he wants to see what this team is first. So what he's probably going to do, which I know a lot of Stars fans may not like, is he's going to wait till the trade deadline, probably closer to January, start of 2022, New Year's ball drops and all that happens. And then they'll start to figure out in Dallas, all right, are we a contender, a team that can compete in the playoffs if their goaltending holds up enough and their forwards are able to score enough? Are they going to be able to be a contender, or they're not getting great goaltending from Holtby and Hudobin? Ben Bishop's not back healthy, and they're not getting enough scoring depth, which has been the problem in Dallas for a while now, and especially at the core now. If guys like Ben and Rajalov, potentially even Pavelski, don't play well, that's going to be a question. And then maybe from that point, Jim Nill will decide, all right, we're not going to keep Klingberg. And they may either way decide not to keep Klingberg, but it changes the direction of the deadline. Because obviously if they're out of the playoff picture, then maybe you trade John Klingberg and you get what you can get. Now the problem with doing that is, though, and not trading him now or trading him this summer, he's going to be brought in as a rental for whoever acquires him in February in 2022. He's not going to be worth what he is at the beginning of this season. His value will definitely decrease because, like I said, he's going on a cup chasing. He's going cup chasing at that point. And I think that will definitely drive his value down unless a team does a sign and trade, which we've seen teams do, like the Ottawa Senators multiple times with Mark Stone to Vegas and Jean-Gabriel Pageau to the Islanders, and you're able to garner more value that way. That could be on the table here for Jim Nill and the Dallas Stars come the trade deadline, and this could be an interesting deadline, especially for the Dallas Stars if that ends up being the case. But if not, the team's doing well, they're getting enough scoring, getting enough goaltending, and we know their defense is good. I'm not really that concerned about that. That's really not a question in Dallas, but that's when you decide we're going to sacrifice this season. We have a chance to win in the playoffs again. We're going to take the chance on Klingberg not coming back in the fall of 2022, but we have a chance to win. And I think they see the window closing at the end of this year. Whether they go on a big run or not, that's really what's still on the table. And I think from there, Jim Nill is going to kind of do the adjusting he needs to do. But that could come at a price. Like I said, they may not get the value that they should for guys like Pavelski and potentially guys like Rajalov or a really cornerstone defenseman like John Klingberg. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Dallas Stars fans around the league, what do you think of the Dallas Stars going into this season? Do you think they're active at the trade deadline, maybe selling off some of these bigger name guys, even a guy like John Klingberg? Or do you think they'll get John Klingberg locked up to a long-term extension? Because again, once guys like Rajalov and Pavelski come off the books, that will free up some cap space for them, and that may be enough for them to keep Klingberg long term. So let me know your guys' thoughts down below. And if you like what we're doing here at Goal Line Hockey, want to see the latest news around the NHL and more videos just like this one, guys, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and an even bigger subscribe down below. Guys, as always, thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you again next time.